Hello? Can anyone around here speak basketball?
It's the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast. Nope.
Trust in Messiah. Welcome to the Confederacy of Dunks
Basketball Podcast.
I am your host, Freddie Rivas. And who, sir, in what I can only determine as matching gray denim are you?
Yes, I am the producer. My name's Matt Duncan. And yes, I do have a bit of a gray ensemble today. I thought the tank top was a little too, I need to layer up a little bit. I think it was for a Kyle Lowry tribute episode. I got to dress up a little bit, as I have a life pretty much in sweatshorts. So, it's hard.
Oh, yeah. No.
It's hard to
people
dress.
Who know this pod well, I've seen you on the snowblower, half naked, middle of the winter, just blowing snow. We are a Raptors and NBA podcast. We're hardcore fans and comedians and, wannabe analysts. And we have comedians on the show and analysts on the show. And thank you so much for listening. If people want to find us, help us, support us, how do they do that, Matt?
You can go to our site, dunkspodcast.com. As I always say, we have our links there. We have our episodes there. We have our seasons archived there if you want to go back into the time capsule a little bit. And, we've got 8 seasons of Kyle Lowry here that, you can go back anytime and see with all these great comedians and sports writers and, people that just hardworking folks from working at restaurants and stuff. We've got all kinds of guests on here talking lot of Raptors ball, a lot of Kyle Lowry. So check that out. Also go to our Twitter, our Instagram, go to the Sonar Network and give some love there. And you can click on our link trees and you can buy our toques and you can join our Patreon. We would appreciate it. And if you can do it, fantastic.
Fantastic indeed. You're right, Matt. We got everyone here. We got, hard workers of all kinds.
Yeah.
And that's a great intro because this episode is going to be an entire Kyle Lowry tribute episode. He is one of the franchise's most special players of all time. So it only makes sense. I think before me and you start chatting, Kyle, and the show gets rolling, I'll just say to everyone who listens, usually a part of our intros, we make sure to let people know. So I'm going to let them know where we're at in terms of beliefs right now. If you're listening and new to this podcast, stop Asian hate, defund the police, email your city councilors, and Black Lives Matter. And if any of that doesn't sit well with you, you can, I guess, go ahead and turn off the pod. But Maddie, I don't want to. We got to get to the good stuff here right away. And I will say before me and you start chatting, one last thing is just quick shout out on the guests. We have an all-star cast today. CATHRYN, NAIKER, Alan Shane Lewis, Katie HEINDL, and DERICK DEONARAIN. All just incredible Kyle Lowry insights and stories. And it was an emotional episode, but it was a good episode too, right?
Yeah, no, it was fantastic. A lot of great takes, a lot of love for Kyle. And I'll just say as well, before we do get into it, next week we will be off. This is our first time taking a week off since the pandemic began.
Oh my.
Freddie is going to South Carolina for a little break. And we have this episode coming out, and then we're just going to take that week off and we'll be back at it. So, in that time, you can go through those archived seasons, listen to some of the early Kyle episodes, me learning, intently about Kyle Lowry. Thanks so much for listening all through this time. And, we've really tried to stick to our schedule to keep providing content for you guys to have some, structure during this weird time.
Yeah, and Matt, I've said it on the pod before, but I'll say it again. Thank you for being there with me every week. We did The Last Dance.
Yeah.
We did, just massive periods of nothing going on while we were waiting for the bubble to return. It's been a time, and I think we're still going to be going through some stuff. So let's stick together.
Right? Man. Absolutely.
I want to, John Rallis, who was on the show last week, and I'm ready to start talking Kyle, if you can tell.
Yeah.
He highlighted just kind of your growth and knowledge as a basketball fan and a Raptors fan. And I think that's probably a good place for us to start. Like, is there anything that, early feelings you had about Kyle that developed, or, by the time you kind of joined in, was it like he was already like a god, so you kind of had to love Kyle?
Okay, so it's interesting you asked this question, because when I started, so this would have been the 2014-15 season.
Okay, yep.
Okay, and so I'm still kind of trying to learn the positioning of basketball and stuff. There's still some stuff I don't quite understand. The difference between a point guard and a shooting guard. I don't know if I'm quite there understanding it yet. I kind of know the point guard is more of the quarterback of the court, I think, and the shooting guard also does. I don't really know, but
it's even blurrier with positionless basketball too.
Yeah, exactly. But when I came into starting to watch the Raptors, I didn't understand what a charge was. So I was watching games and I thought that people were just picking on Kyle. I thought he was just trying to play a position and people kept running into him, and, they rewarded him because, sorry, man, that guy hit you again. You can have the ball. And I for a while,
untrue.
I mean, yeah, I guess it's not untrue. So I was defensive of Kyle before I kind of saw him as this amazing godlike player. I'm like, they're picking on this small guy all the time, and I don't understand it. But thank God we get the ball. It took me a while to realize, he's trying to get charges. This is a skill. He's putting himself in harm's way to recover the ball. And now I'd I'm just constantly looking for charges when I watch basketball now. It's such a big part. So yeah, that was really the start for me with Kyle, was thinking he was this guy that was just getting picked on, when tall guys would put their hand on little guys' foreheads and they're trying to punch.
Yes.
I thought that's what it was. I was like, this is mean. What? But lo and behold, it's one of his greatest skill sets.
Totally. And I think you open up a door in my brain where, thinking about basketball specific stuff, Kyle actually kind of taught me as a fan. I don't know if he can directly be attributed to this, because it's something our team does all the time now. And it's something basically I see all over the league. I know he didn't invent it, but Kyle as a Raptor really, really kind of pushed the 2-for-1 play. So you got 29 seconds on the clock, and the Raptors have the ball, and his whole game is, I'm going to shoot this in the next 5 seconds so we get the ball back for sure.
Right.
And the Raptors, Fred does that all the time. It's part of our strategy. It's an extra possession in this game of you're trying to maximize every single possession. That's something that I think, again, I don't know. I'm not enough of a historian to say that can be attributed directly to Kyle, but I'll say that I'm a pretty hardcore fan, and I learned of this as a strategy. Some of the games come down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points.
Yeah.
And those extra possessions at the end of all 4 quarters matters. Everyone does it at the end of the fourth, right?
Yeah.
But I think Kyle had an emphasis of doing it no, you do that every quarter.
Yeah. And I think that, that's really well said, Fred. And just how at the end of the fourth quarter, I didn't realize, and, learning how it really turns into this crazy chess match when you have 3 seconds on the clock, and, so much can happen when you're only down 2 or 3 points. And, one of my favorite memories obviously is Kyle chucking that ball over Taco Fall.
Yes.
Yeah. And hitting For some reason, I was like Taco Bell. I just want to say it so bad. Taco Fall and hitting OG.
I love Taco Bell. Just an aside.
We all love Taco Bell here. Huge Taco Ball podcast. Taco Fall. Anyway, sorry, I'm really getting all scattered, but to see what he can do at the end when the pressure just is so immense is really cool to see, where it's like, oh, we're always in good hands when you have Kyle. Like if a play can be made, it's going to be made.
And also, like, I'm going to win this game with a pass.
Yeah. Yeah.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
Right. And also we ran the play and it's like, hey, OG, be ready.
Yeah.
I'm going to get it to you, even if they bring in a comically tall player.
Yeah.
And I'll do a soccer overhead if I need to.
Yeah. Yeah. It was crazy.
I'm not sure it was mentioned in the pod, so I'll throw out a couple moments for me. Like, I gotta say the Kyle Dallas comeback. It's just like, he's willed a lot of victories, but that has to be up there as far as like willing it the most.
Yeah.
That's a big one for me. Katie brings up the losing to Brooklyn. That's a big one for me. I'll also add getting swept by Washington. And after that series, he criticized Casey a little bit, but they ended up working together still. And, that kind of showed me, I remember at that time, I was like, oh, Casey's gone for sure. And he wasn't gone right away. And I know a lot of people, that's a mistake for a lot of people, but I think it says a lot about Kyle's willingness to like grind out a hard situation, right? Which is a big part of who he is.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm so many good specific memories, but like all the charges, I think I enjoyed watching him become a better 3-point shooter as a Raptor, because he really turned into quite an elite 3-point shooter as a Raptor. So that growth was fun and kind of like adds to the Raptors have seemingly a good path about, they're good at making shooters better shooters.
Yeah, I definitely see that. And I would just say, because, we have a lot of memories of Kyle at the end of seasons being real down. We know what he was like when DeMar was traded, and, seeing Kyle upset like that and a bit standoffish is kind of the worst. So it's not my favorite Kyle to see.
No.
But then when you see him wearing that Sotomayor jersey, holding the Larry O'Brien, at the parade, and just like after they won in Oakland, when they were in Oakland, just like this constant smile and joy. Like it just, I don't know, man. It's like, I think I've been hard on basketball with like how after they win a championship, it's always kind of this weird thing. They don't have this like Stanley Cup they can like hoist over their head, but like the Raptors really changed it for me. I was like, man, all of this is sick. So
and the parade. I'm glad you brought up the parade, because like, how awesome was that? That was like, and Katie talked about the arc, right, of Kyle, and it's like, of course, part of that arc is him being on a bus with Damon Stoudemire, our first like big impact player, kind of like, just what a shout out to the fans. And just like, that is, I mean, I remember seeing the Stoudemire jersey and just being like, this guy's the best person in the world. And he is. I mean, I've said it a bunch of times too in the pod that like me and Kyle are the same dimensions and same age. And I think that's just funny to me. It's always been funny because it makes what he does that much more remarkable. I guess I'm, it's still remarkable what a guy like Pascal or OG or hopefully Scotty Barnes can do. Yeah. But there's a certain aspect. It's like, wow, you're a physical marvel. You're 6'8" and you're like jacked. And Kyle is jacked, don't get me wrong, but basketball is a tall guy sport, or a tall person sport. So I think seeing a little guy kind of just rock it was pretty awesome.
I know. And, seeing him now going to Miami, I've been thinking about this a lot and wanted to know what your input is. But do you think Miami, now that they have all their guys, they got Oladipo coming back on a 1 year, they've got,
I didn't know that. That's significant.
Yeah. I believe I saw that he's coming back for a 1 year. So,
cool.
do you think they're like, okay, they're looking around the league, they're seeing what all the other teams are doing, the Lakers, Brooklyn, what we have to do, we got to be that Pistons team, that like nasty Pistons team to win a chip in this league right now. Do you think like it's just going to be with like PJ Tucker and like, is it just going to be like, and we know how Kyle can be too, like how he can get people's nerves. Like, I think Miami is going to be like a hilarious show to watch. Like, it's just going to be good basketball, but also just pissing off people. I think.
Oh,
am I right on that?
You're like too right. You're so right that I know Raptors fans who want to root for him in Miami will start to get conflicting feelings, because let me tell you, I've had a bunch of times where I've watched Kyle Lowry and I'm just grinning and giggling only because I could just imagine myself as, you know, a supporter of the other team being furious. Like, you know, I would be, I honestly think there's a chance that I passionately would hate Kyle.
Yeah.
If he was like, you know what I mean? But now, you know, I think it's going to be like watching your like your granddad or your dad like kick somebody's ass, you know? Like, I think for like, so I saw someone tweet this, you know, on Twitter, just like, oh man, is the whole ACC going to cheer when Kyle takes a charge against us? Oh, Matt, that's our time.
Is that our timer?
I put a timer on us too.
Nice.
But yeah, because you know what? I also realized we're going to be talking about Kyle forever.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely.
But let's kind of give ourselves a bit of parting words here. Is there anything you want to say before we start this episode and kind of just, I guess, put a cap in this Kyle era?
Yeah, Gilbert Arenas, if you're listening, Toronto can be a pretty special place to play. Just, you know, if you haven't seen it, just look at some of the footage from the parade, just as one thing. Maybe just talk to Kyle, throw him a text. I think people take the city seriously and the franchise. We have the best president and, you know, arguably one of the top GMs, paging Bobby Webster, if I may say. You know, I'm very appreciative that we've had this Kyle experience. And, you know, I do look forward to see the next version of Kyle, the people that are inspired by Kyle, to try and take that mantle from him. I think will be fantastic and great for the Toronto Raptors.
Dude, I'm not even going to add anything because I think you just like totally nailed it. And I don't know. It's just, yeah, all the vibes are so good with Kyle. I will actually, you know what? I'm going to add one thing.
Okay.
And it's only because you've brought it up to me twice now, and I think this is perfect. Gilbert Arenas. So I got my hair cut today. Shout out to my barber, Jason, at Hollow Ground. He brought it up too. He's pissed at Gilbert Arenas too. And I told him, I'm like, you know what my producer for my podcast said to me? He said, Freddie, I looked it up and Gilbert Arenas has only ever won one series. How could he say that? And I said that to Jason and he was like, yeah, why would he say that? And I'm like, yeah. And I think we're Raptors fans and we have a ring and Kyle's won a bunch of series. So we can do a bit of that, right? We can be like, oh, that's nice, Gilbert. Anyhow, you did nothing compared to what Kyle did. Cheers.
Yeah. And interesting how all these other players who have won a ton of playoff rounds and championships don't really talk like that about Toronto. You know, you're not going to get Kawhi ain't going to be spewing that kind of slander to the city.
No.
Ain't ever going to happen.
It's almost as if real respect real.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, I enjoyed my Gilbert highlights just like everyone else. Hibachi Grill, he had a good time, but I mean, he's no winner like Kyle. And I think, I mean, yeah,
I'll try to tone down my Arenas hate now that I've gotten it into 2 podcasts.
Yeah, you know what? Let me just say there wasn't any flubber references, so I'm just gonna throw that out because I think we got everything else in this pod. And Maddie, yeah, we're taking our first break since the pandemic, and I'm excited to start this pod. And yeah, thanks again. When we're back, it's a new era. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. Excited.
Right on. Well, yeah, if you feel like we're good to go, please, sir, just give me those sweet words. Okay.
Oh,
Hello, this is Rusty Cunningham from BBC NBA News. Today is July 11th, 2012, and finally NBA free agency is starting to take off over there in North America, but we've got some big trades to report first. Canadian basketball star Steve Nash has been traded to the Los Angeles Lakers for 2 firsts and 2 second rounders. Some say this could be Steve Nash's last chance at winning an NBA championship. Well, he's in good hands with the amazing Kobe Bryant. Another smashing trade has the Houston Rockets making a noise. Marcus Camby has been traded to the New York Knicks for a gaggle of players, including Tony Douglas, Josh Helson, Jerome Jordan, and a couple of second-round draft picks. Now, those are the big trades that have come through the docket. Lots more to come. Although Houston does seem to not be done yet. They've been trading Kyle Lowry to the Toronto Raptors for a first and Gary Forbes. I know it could seem like a minor trade if you want to say that is what it is. Toronto not known for any big splashes of note. But this one, you have to remember, first rounders, very valuable coming from Toronto, as they're almost always guaranteed to be in the top 5 because they are an underperforming team like.
You know, I'm excited to be here. It's a great opportunity for myself, for this team to grow. And, you know, as Brian said, you know, given the keys, I think, you know, I can drive this car to a playoff team and make the expectation for our team to be better with the addition of myself and Landry, as Brian spoke on. I think the defense has gotten a lot better instantly with the big fella Jonas coming over. I think that helps. But I'm excited to be here. I really can't wait to step on the floor with this, you know, the team and see what T-Dot's all about.
Alan Shane Lewis.
All right, I am here with one of my very favorite guests, host of the CBC Baking Show, and also host of Catching an Alley-Oop every once in a while and dunking on somebody's head. I've never seen that, but I imagine it could happen. Alan,
anywhere, just a garbage can, throw me an alley, I'll put it in. Like,
oh, totally. Like, yeah, it doesn't need to be a 10-foot rim. It needs to be an open cylinder.
Yeah, orange peels, you got it. Looks like a basketball.
Hundo P. Okay, we got to get right to it because there's a reason you're here. You're one of my favorite guests. This is a big, well, I guess it's a couple days ago now, but let's just go in on Kyle Lowry. He's no longer a Raptor. The Kyle Lowry. Yeah, it's over. I mean, the Kyle Lowry era is over. I don't even want to say anything. Just give me your initial thoughts and we'll start talking.
It hurts. It feels like, you know, that like really cool person from your high school that like you just saw them as soon as you came in grade 9. They're a little bit older. They're like on all the sports teams. They're super fun, really relatable. And then they just like graduate and have to go. And you're like, yeah, this day had to come. You know, we had to move on. We had to kind of accept this, but it still feels so surreal. And it ends up being the same place that, you know, Christopher West and Bosh went to, you know? So I feel like these Raptors are like, I'm tired of getting double taxed on all this money on, you know, north of the border. I need to go to Florida where the tax laws are low and I can just keep all my monies. But he's in a very good situation where they can actually win. So I'm happy. I didn't want him to go to a Pelicans team where, you know, I don't want to see him grow. I don't want to see him not grow, but like grow with the team. I wanted him to have actually a chance to win a championship and compete. So, you know, he can put those things on his resume to clock out when he becomes a Hall of Famer. But it was sad. It was sad because I really like Kyle Lowry. Like immediately when he came in here, I was like, why isn't he not starting over Jose Calderon? Why is this a debate? Why are we keep doing this? Like we know which one's our starting point guard. And
you're on your own there, man. I'm still Team Jose.
Jose can pull it out from the rear anytime.
Have you ever seen someone dribble so well without crossing the ball between their legs?
Oh, you know something? Just dribble around the court in a circle pattern, get right up to the net. But you know what? Pull right back up to the 3-point line. That's what Jose.
Dang right.
But yeah, it's sad to see him go. But we had some time to kind of embrace it for impact for what this was going to be, and I have all the feels. I still haven't gone through all the messages that he's posted. I haven't read it yet because once I do that, it becomes real. Like anytime somebody gives me like a card of like our end together, I kind of wait. I don't read it that day. I kind of wait till later on, and then I have those like little memories to go like, oh, you know. So yeah, it's gonna feel even more real when he visits the ACC or Scotiabank Arena and plays against us. And if you boo Kyle Lowry, I will. Whew, off the top rope. The top rope.
Anyone that boos Kyle Lowry, I hope by the time he comes back, technology's moving fast, but I hope that if you boo Kyle Lowry, like, when Neo in the Matrix, like the skin starts growing over his mouth and he's like, I hope that's what happens to you. That's horrifying, but
no,
wait, you're talking like Lowry memories. Is there any Lowry memories that are like in your mind right now? It doesn't have to be the best Lowry moment.
There's just so many. He just takes charge of so many late or end of games that is just, I just feel so secure in his hands. Anytime he has the ball inbounding it or he bringing up the ball and it's coming down to it, we need a bucket. I feel so safe. Like it feels like a warm hug dribbling the ball up the court and he just takes charge. There's that one game against Miami, that playoff game where he just heaved it from like full court just to tie, to send it to overtime. It's just like,
so cool.
The one where he just took control against even this is a recent one. I think it was last season against the Celtics where he just took Kemba into the paint and just scored on him, just like, and then just went for a swim afterwards. It's just the pass to OG, whether it's game 6 of the NBA finals where at the beginning of the game, he just starts scoring. Just score, a man on a mission, somebody who knows like, no, we have to take control right now. I have to be the adult in this room or put my big pants on and take over and take charge. And that's what Kyle Lowry can do and instantly impact everyone else. It gravitates from him. It all comes from it. It radiates for him. It's amazing. And Miami Heat, I hope you know how lucky you guys are.
I hope they do too. And like, I think you touched on something that is part of what makes Kyle so special. He definitely had skills that turned into elite skills like 3-point shooting and, leading the league in charges and guarding, at his size. But I feel like he was like a masterful game manager. And, whether that's working with DeRozan, Siakam, Serge, Kawhi, whatever, he was so good at kind of like maximizing like his particular role and the guys around him. Like, is there a dude you think had like benefited from Lowry the most? Like, I know he got a lot of people paid, but is there someone who's like this guy? I'm making up these questions, by the way. So,
No, I definitely think there were different players. A Siakam or I think Ibaka too as well. That pick and pop or pick and roll with Ibaka was still great because Ibaka's got great hands and Kyle Lowry can fit through any nook and cranny and he can get real deep in there and he can just give a quick shovel pass or up top for an alley-oop. And it just felt like, oh, that's a 2-point. We're scoring 2 points on this possession. You felt very certain that on this was going to happen because Kyle Lowry had, was the maestro in it all. And, he just was gonna miss him.
Were you like where are you at on the I think in a little while it won't matter so much, but it still seems like folks are somewhat divided on the deadline versus like how it went down now. Do you have like a take? Do you not care?
I don't particularly care. I read, anything could have happened by the season. Anything could have happened after the season. So I wasn't like something needs to happen right now. I need a definitive answer. If I get more time with Kyle Lowry, I'll take that. And
yeah, I was like that too.
Yeah, he's a great basketball player. The best thing about Kyle Lowry is he could average 30 points in this league easily and lose games. He could do that. But that's not the type of player that Kyle Lowry is. He takes over when he needs to because he's like, okay, now we need to do this. But like for the rest of the game, he is getting everyone in it. He is the point guard. He takes the temperature of the room or the game and inserts himself where he is needed, whether it's defensive end, offensive end, setting up other players, embracing and what's the word? Like emboldening other players, if that's even a word. He does that. It's just
oh man,
few players who can actually do that. When you talk about players that you can plug in and do that, like you're talking about like a LeBron, we're talking about a Draymond on the right situation. There's just certain players where like when they're on the court, everyone else is better because of that. All 4 players on that. And even the players on the bench, they're feeding off that too. Because when they come in there, they want to I want to do just like him. I want to keep it up like that. So he's just instant noodles. He's just great. He's just quick, amazing, generates so much, and it really gets everyone else excited and play better.
Is there a part of Kyle that's going to live on like in this current iteration? Like obviously he's a legend. He'll have his, hopefully statues maybe before he retires, which would be cool. But I mean, maybe that's eager fans, but is it Fred? Is that like, are we going to see Fred do a bunch of Kyle style things or is it kind of like a team toughness?
I think the team toughness is something because, shout out to the Raptors front office for bringing in players who embrace that kind of idea, because you can bring players in and they might not actually fit in and take, they won't listen. They'll be very poor or not very hardened and they won't take in all this kind of energy and it could be detrimental. And Aaron Baines. But, you can have that sometimes. But, Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby, Siakam, a lot of these guys are bet on themselves players. They're like, I will show you exactly how much I'm worth. If you don't think that I'm worth this much, I will do it. I will take charge. I will go up on defense and I will get the hardest matchup and I will do all these different things. And it definitely reverberates from Kyle Lowry, but it also is inside of all those other players. And for them to keep it on their own, because it's what I hope is happens, because it all works around Kyle Lowry, but individually, I hope that spark is inside of them, that they can generate that stuff themselves and we can continue this kind of team chemistry, this kind of team identity going forward.
Do you think there's any doubt in anyone's mind about what Kyle did in Toronto? Will there be any kind of haters later on, or do you think it's it's infamy for him?
No, well, and that's the thing is, as I become an aging basketball fan, you just kind of see narratives in front of your eyes get deleted and new memories of new players get just inputted all the time. So it's bound to happen. I already saw Ball Don't Stop guy Ecam post about Kyle Lowry is not the greatest Raptor of all time. It's Vince Carter. I'm like, dude, I get it. I was there for the Vince Carter era.
Me too.
I understand what he did. He is probably the biggest star we've ever had for sure. And he inspired so many different players, Wiggins and Dwight Powell. All those players picked up a basketball because of Vincent Lamar Carter. That's a fact. But if you're talking about greatest Raptor of all time, as far as impact, embodied the city, embraced the city, the best storyline from they got here to when they left.
Yes.
Just it's Kyle Lowry. It's undeniable that. And there's going to be people who are going to be that, it's great. And I get it. That's close to your childhood and you don't want to ruin your child, because if you ruin your childhood, who are you? That's your base. That's just, it scares some people to embrace change and whatnot. But I think there's a healthy bit of embracing reality, embracing your childhood, and also adding new layers onto things. So it's always going to change, and from different perspectives, it's going to be different and different. But I just think definitively you can't say that Kyle Lowry is not the greatest Raptor of all time.
I think, Alan, that's literally we made it to our 10 minutes. That was the perfect ending. I just want you to say, because I know you know it, and you've said, Chris Wesley Bosh, and you've said Vincent Lamar Carter. Tell the people what Kyle Lowry's middle name is.
Oh, I don't think I know it. Kyle.
I actually don't. I just assumed you did.
I just say those ones because I always say Christopher Wesson Washington. That was my fun.
And everyone knew Lamar.
Yeah. Kyle Terrell Lowry. KTL, baby.
KTL.
Kyle Terrell Lowry. I actually like it. It plays well. The Terrell to Lowry. That's a fun little fun there. So
yeah,
I'm excited to say that.
Maybe the Kyle Lowry in Miami is just Terrell Lowry. Kyle Lowry's ours.
Yeah. You can have that one. That's a new one. That's that new update. We don't. No, we don't want that. You can have that, but we can have it back if you don't want it.
I know. We both love Kyle so much. You know what? We'll take him back if you want.
Yeah. If it doesn't work out, we'll trade him back. Whatever. Who cares?
Well, dude, thank you so much for joining. This is
thank you for having
time.
Yeah.
But no problem. And it's a new era, though. I think, again, we're a little bit of old heads here. So I think we're excited for what's next, right?
Yeah. The torch got to be passed and the torch got to be lit. So that's all part of passing things on. And hopefully this is the next era. And I'm excited to be a part of it with you.
Hey, man, we're all in this together, baby.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that sounded like. It's something from a song, and I think it is, but I can't think of.
Some lyrics were definitely said here. You're gonna have to strike this entire video. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough. All right, man. Peace, love. Thank you.
Vasquez still looking. Gets it to Lowry at 5 seconds. Lowry, Williams, the tight defense. Here is Lowry on the deck through 2. Lowry put it up. It's blocked by Pierce, and the Nets win the series. As Paul Pierce, waiting in front of the rim, denies the shot and sends Brooklyn to the second round.
Kyle, you guys obviously achieved a lot more than a lot of outsiders gave you credit for. What does it mean to the team to get where you got to?
It means a lot. It shows our improvement throughout the year. A lot of people didn't expect us to be here, but we did. And we're only going to get better. this is only a start for us, and it's a start for the Raptors organization, and it was a good start for us. But unfortunately, we came up short. We're in a game we put ourselves in a position to win.
DERICK, DEONARAIN.
Let's talk some more, Kyle. I'm here with one of my favorite guests, DERICK DEONARAIN, my favorite producer at CBC. I bet you I do know other producers, so that's actually does carry some weight. But you know what? I'm not gonna take away from my own compliment. You're amazing. Happy to have you on the show. What's up?
Thank you, man. I appreciate you having me as always.
Yeah, man. Let's just get right to it. I'll ask first, what's your vibe right now? Or, how are you feeling post Kyle? Are you super? Yeah, I wouldn't even project. Just tell me.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. I think because of everything that happened during the trade deadline with, us kind of having to say goodbye before we're actually having to say goodbye, I think
that Nuggets game.
Yeah, I think a lot of that emotion and sadness I felt then. So it was sort of you were kind of prepared for that inevitability, right? You were, yeah. It's almost and this might be a horrible, I guess, comparison, and I apologize to anybody that, might feel a type of way about it, but it's almost if you had someone in your life who may have been older and was sick, and you were given news that oh, maybe there's hope that they might go on longer or something like that, and then you hold on, you prepare for the inevitability oh, they might pass, and then it doesn't happen, and you're oh, thank God they're still here, and then eventually they do, and they move on, and you're damn, but you kind of already emotionally and mentally prepared yourself for that inevitability. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like that in that sense. Obviously, Kyle's not dead, thank God. Yeah. He's certainly not, dead to any Raptors fans. I hope, because this isn't the exit that Chris had necessarily, or Vince, or Tracy, or Damon, or anybody else that was beloved by our franchise. But he's moved on to another team, and I'm happy for him. I wish him nothing but the best and success. And look, he absolutely owes nobody anything in Toronto. He put that work and that weight out there on himself by saying, look, when you start a job, you have to finish it. Mm-hmm. And he finished it. Right. So in my mind, he's solidified. His legacy is forever in Toronto. He's forever going to be loved in the city and celebrated. And, I can't wait to attend that unveiling when his statue comes out. Whenever. Oh my
God. Yeah. I definitely, I have to make this joke every time the statue conversation comes up. I think hopefully, you maybe make a bunch of them, but I want to see one, in the, whatever the path, the underground area, just for around a corner, right out of an elevator. And basically everybody's walking into it and he's taking charges on innocent citizens of Toronto.
That would be amazing. I mean, if we're talking if we're gonna see Kyle Lowry statues, we saw Moose statues around the city, yes. Then maybe that's the thing, right? You just look at random rooftops and you're what the hell is a Moose doing there? What's Kyle Lowry doing taking the charge by the CN Tower? Is he there with Drake? I have no idea. So
I love that Kyle could realistically be somewhere with Drake. That's not a crazy thing to say.
It. Yeah. So same thing with Delano and Scotty, man. He's there everywhere. God. Taking the city tour.
I want to talk so you talk a little bit about the different Toronto Raptors exits, which I think is a huge part of our history. Recently there's Kawhi, even more recently there's kind of Serge, who he didn't really feel like he was handled appropriately. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about I'll just say that I feel like there was a lot of mutual respect the whole way until the end, and I think there's a part of that we don't exactly get to see between Masai and Kyle, but I don't know. I feel like I felt it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I think anytime somebody leaves us, we're sort of scorned lovers in that sense. But I think to me, the one thing that's kind of always bugged me about the free agency situation here in the city is that, one, we've never been a major big free agent destination. We don't make a ton of moves. And throughout Masai's tenure, he's never really made a lot of free agent moves. I think in total, Masai's been here, 8-9 years, and he's only made about 10 of them, and of those 10, like half of them are really like summer league and two-way deals. They're not really, you know, like, oh, big deals. And the biggest ones are obviously the ones that are the biggest flubs, like DeMar Carroll, right? Which, you know, you're going to take some L's every now and then. You can't win everything. But when we talk about retaining people, I do think that there is a bit of misunderstanding there. Like, look, when Vince Carter was a free agent, not a free agent, but when he had the opportunity as a restricted to go somewhere else and maybe sign an offer sheet, he chose to stay. He re-upped with Toronto, you know, based off of his rookie deal, to stay and be the guy and lead us, right? You know, DeMar stayed, Kyle stayed. Like, these guys all chose to stay after being here, and they had the ability and options to leave, and they didn't. Right. And
yeah, you can even throw in like Fred Ibaka.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Right. Like, these guys all had alternatives. Toronto was not the only place. And yes, you know, there's loyalty to some degree, but, you know, all of these guys had other options and places that might have paid them more money. I think the idea that Toronto doesn't retain free agents is because we don't get a lot of them. And because when we do retain them, it's usually we got these guys via trade, or they're guys that we developed. Right. So I think that's a bit of a myth. I think there is some truth to like people not coming here, but I don't necessarily agree with people that say that no one wants to stay. Like, yeah, Kawhi left, but other guys have signed major deals. It's just that they're not considered the sexy superstar names in the way that we think they are, right? Like, they're all stars, they're good caliber players, but they're not the Kawhis of the world, or Tracy McGrady's, you know, in his prime, which is fine. But to that point, to Kyle, I would say, yeah, I think that this was handled extremely well by the organization from top to bottom. I think they very much moved with respect to how Kyle felt, and Kyle ultimately said, you know, look, it's going to come down to money. It's going to come down to his family, and ultimately what they think is best, and what he thinks is best for themselves, their well-being, their situation, and their living and their life, and then also basketball as well. But it isn't just solely about basketball, and I respect that, right? Like,
yeah, me too.
Whether Kyle was going to Philly or whether he was going to anywhere else, I think he never cheated us in any way. He never cheated the process. He gave everything that he had to the city and his organization, and they repaid him, you know, handsomely for that. And I think if Kyle wanted to stay, they would have been happy with that as well. But I think, you know, they were like, look, the decision is up to you, and we want to help facilitate that in whatever way works best for you, because you've given everything to this franchise and you owe us nothing. And to Kyle's credit as well, and Chris Bosh actually did this too. They didn't just leave. So Bosh was a sign and trade to Miami.
He was, I remember.
And Kyle is also a sign and trade to Miami. Those guys could have totally left us high and dry. But I think that speaks to the character of those guys, and also to the relationships that they built with our organization, that they chose not to just leave us with nothing. Although some people may argue that having salary cap space is something. But yeah, they chose to help us in a way that would at least get us some sort of, you know, players back to in some sort of meaningful way, whether it be a second round pick or a first round pick or extra cash or other guys coming our way, which, you know, we still don't know exactly who is included in that Lowry deal. But I think that's big, because that tells us that the relationships were good on both sides.
I couldn't agree more. And I think, like, you know, knowing Masai, you know, people love to talk about like, well, you know, that pick turned into OG and that pick turned into Norm. It's like, well, we might have to wait a bit to understand the full return on Kyle. And yeah, I mean, preaching patience to fans is hard, but also Masai doesn't care and Bobby doesn't care. They won't be rushed, and that's kind of how they roll, and that's why I love them. But you know, just before you got about a minute left here, because I'm sticking to this timer. So just give me like your Kyle memory, a Kyle memory. It doesn't have to be like the one. You know,
okay, I've got like two, and I'm gonna try to go quickly. So first one, I think this is like May 2016, game one of the Eastern semis. I had just started to actually cover the team and through CBC and go to some of these practices and pre-games and post-games and actually being on the court around these guys. And I was just like, awestruck. Oh my God, that's Dwayne Wade. And, you know, holy crap, Hassan Whiteside is mad tall. And so it's like, I think there's like 3 seconds left in game one. We're down like 90-87. fans are leaving the arena at this point. Like people are trying to avoid the TTC traffic at Union Station and avoid the Gardner and the Lakeshore. So they're already on their way out. They think this game's done. I think I might have been Corey Joseph. I'm not 100% sure. He inbounds the ball. Kyle's like distracted, almost loses the ball out of bounds, saves it, and then puts up the biggest prayer that I've ever seen him put up in a shot from half court. And like everyone's just like, it's probably not going in. Like it's a prayer shot. It's the end of the game. Like maybe it goes in, maybe it doesn't. And then you can hear audibly in the arena as the trajectory of the shot starts going closer to the basket. Everyone's like, oh. And then he nails the shot, and Dwayne Wade's just like right under the basket on his knee, and everyone's just going crazy. And I'm up there with the press folks, and we're like, yo, did that just really happen? Because like, it's another reason as to why you shouldn't leave a game early, because anything could happen until the buzzer sounds off. But it was just one of those moments where it was like pure chaos, pure pandemonium. I mean, the Raptors were still the Raptors. We still lost game one in that series, but we ended up winning that series and going to the conference finals that year against Cleveland and losing in 6. But that was like one of the craziest Kyle moments that I got to experience in person in the game, after just talking to him before the game and after as well. And then the other thing that I want to add quickly before we end this is, I think something that doesn't actually get a lot of love, but is something that I think is a Kyle Lowry legacy moment that is going to continue with this current team and probably for years to come. And obviously doing the work that I do and covering local news in the city of Toronto, I had the opportunity to work with Kyle a little bit and attend some of his holiday assists. So I remember covering one of his Christmas giveaways. So every holiday around Christmas time, Kyle takes a bunch of kids from a selected school across the city, and he brings them to a Toys R Us and basically just says, you have like 7 minutes, go pick whatever toys you want, fill up the cart as much as possible. I'm buying everything. Kyle Lowry is Santa Claus. And, he brings his kids, his wife is there. And it's just an incredible moment, because you see, him giving back to the community with the money and the resources that he has to help kids who are absolutely less privileged and less fortunate than him, given that he is an NBA player, but also like the care in which these kids have for each other and for their families. You see kids who are thinking not of themselves, like, oh, I want to get like the latest toy or this thing. They're thinking, oh, what would my sister want? What would my mom want? What would and it's just so nice to see, kids in that way and the innocence of it all. And Kyle being a kid himself with all of them and with his own kids. And it's a shame that we won't get to have that with Kyle anymore. But the reason why I say it keeps his legacy going is because Fred has actually picked up that torch. And so Christmas, I think maybe pre-pandemic, Fred did it too. So Fred actually had his own moment where he was giving back with a bunch of kids from a public school in the city to let them pick whatever toys they wanted. And the bill was on Fred. And I think that is just a testament to Kyle Lowry as a human being, and one of those things that I think will continue with this organization.
Man, that's like such a perfect way to end this, and we just hit the time. And I was asking, it was like that was good shit. Yeah, just carrying on legacy is something I'm thinking about a lot, and I'm glad you brought up the Toys R Us giveaway, because that's huge. I grew up. I'm a product of welfare. I grew up poor, and those types of moments, like I'll always remember them when people did things for me and my family, and it's just kind of like, you can't even, like, nothing you did on the court will ever be like that. So exactly. Thanks for bringing that up. And Fred too. It's like, that's so awesome that type of character is like going to remain. And Kyle's just amazing. And Derek, you're amazing. Thanks for joining us. And we'll keep this train moving. But man, you're awesome. And we both appreciate Kyle, and thank you.
Yeah, man. No, thank you. Thank Kyle. And I appreciate you having me on this platform always, man.
The Eastern Conference Finals between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Toronto Raptors, and it's presented by Verizon. We want more is the chant here at the Air Canada Center. And We the North, some people We the North chanting as well, which is their rallying cry. The Cleveland Cavaliers win the Eastern Conference Final in 6 games.
LeBron, tonight you crossed the 30-point margin. for the 81st time in your career, but you waited until this game in this playoffs to do it. You said you would step forward and have a game when you needed to. Why was it tonight?
First of all, do you hear this?
No, they're
do you
incredible.
Hear this? Unbelievable respect and much respect to these fans, to this country. This is unbelievable. I've never been a part of something like this in my 13
Kyle, obviously the look on your face says it all right now, but I mean, this is a question you probably get asked every time you get eliminated from the playoffs, but this really was a special season for this team. You think there will be a time when you look back and realize what you were able to accomplish this year?
Yeah, no, of course you're going to look back at some point, but right now I'm disappointed. Simple as that. I'm disappointed.
CATHRYN, NAIKER.
Okay, I'm down to talk some more Kyle Lowry. I'm here with, my super guest. We share a podcast together, WNBA podcast, The Pickup. You know her from Buckets and Tea. We won't be doing a regular intro, but give it up for CATHRYN NAIKER if you're at home. What's up, CATHRYN?
Hey, so thrilled that I finally have the badge of super guest. Oh, so blessed.
Super guest.
Yeah, a little hashtag blessed right off the top of our little segment here.
Yeah, a little hashtag blessed.
I'm a super guest now. I'm a super guest.
That's right. You can't go down from there. Kyle Lowry is our super Raptor. I'm just kind of letting everyone go off a bit and then asking some questions. How are you feeling about Kyle Lowry?
I feel pretty fine about it. Like, I don't know. I cried in March. You know what I mean?
Right. You said goodbye at the deadline?
So long ago. Like, I'm pretty sure on this podcast back then, I had a full-on temper tantrum. I think you were trying to ask me a very real question about, like, Kyle and should we trade him and should we not? And I was just like, no, I don't want it. Like, I was just, like, rejecting it like it was, like, bad food on my plate. Like, I just absolutely not. But, I mean, I've more than accepted it at this point. I mean, the Miami Heat, definitely not surprised. Glad we got a bit of a sign and trade. At least we got something for Kyle at this point. Happy about that. It doesn't make sense for him to be here if we're in a full rebuild, which we know now. Because, we didn't really know exactly how the Raptors wanted to pivot initially. Like,
right.
If we were going to try and stay in the playoff picture or whatever, short-term goals were. But it's clear we're in a full rebuild now. And it doesn't make sense for someone like Kyle to be a part of that. So, overall, I'm happy for him. I don't like the Miami Heat, although I do like Jimmy Butler. But I just like the whole Heat culture thing really just reminds me of like a Jersey Shore fraternity kind of vibe. Like, it just doesn't have a good vibe to me. Like, I just oh my God, and the whole getting people's body fat, weighing their body fat every week and having to clock in just feels super weird and fetishy to me. And if anyone tells Kyle Lowry to lose weight, we are coming for them as an entire nation.
Absolutely not.
An incredible athlete and a beautiful man, and they need to leave him the fuck alone. And I'm sure they will. Kyle's a pretty prickly guy. He's not putting up with that one way or the other. But I just feel he wants to be on a contender, and that's cute. I do see the Miami Heat as more of a fringe contender, if I'm being honest. I don't.
No, me too.
Yeah, it's certainly not impossible, but I don't see them as a forefront. I don't, assuming, when you make predictions, you always have to just assume people are healthy. And if the Bucks are healthy, as good as Bam Adebayo is, he's not winning a matchup against Giannis. He's just not, and then same with the Nets. I don't see them stopping the Nets either. So, it'll be interesting to see. I am definitely kind of rooting for him to succeed, but I'm also I'm not
You're
exactly
okay.
I'm not exactly buying a Heat Lowry jersey. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty much the same. I love Lowry. I think he's probably my favorite player at this point in my basketball fandom, but I firmly don't root for other teams. So I also like LeBron. There's a lot of players I like, but I like the Raptors. So I don't really care about the Heat. Like, so, I'm happy Kyle got paid because I think that was the main goal. And I feel like winning will be a bonus that I hope he also gets if we don't win. I don't think we're like going to be in the same tier as Miami in any way anytime soon. But I totally agree with you. I'm kind of just asking everyone too as well. Like, do you have a favorite Kyle memory? It doesn't have to be like a singular memory, but like, is there anything that comes to mind?
Favorite Kyle memory? That's so funny because it's like, I mean, I guess like the biggest moment would just be like Game 6 of the finals, right? Like that's his big moment. I think for me though, like for Kyle, it was really more just all the little things.
Mm-hmm.
It's just all the little things that he did game in and game out all the time that just made him really special, and just like there's a consistency there too, right? Like just, I don't know, a consistent effort. Like I don't know what it is, if it's like a Canadian thing or what, but I feel like as Raptors fans, we've always kind of gravitated towards guys that have a bit of grit to them.
Oh, yeah.
That have kind of a gritty quality to them. Like we're not really like, I mean, if somebody comes in with a lot of finesse, like that's cool and all, but we're not like, I feel like the fan favorites are always those guys that have some grit to them, like whether it's like a junkyard dog type player or whatever, right?
Totally.
Like in Oakley, like I just feel like throughout our history, like those guys are always the fan favorites. And
Turkoglu, Capono.
Oh God. But I feel like Kyle had that, but he was also like the leader. Right?
Yeah.
So he had both. And I think that's, kind of what makes him the ultimate Raptor. So really it's more just like, it's not so much a moment, but just like an energy or a vibe. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense.
That is my favorite thing.
That is the best thing. And I feel like, that's sorry, I didn't mean to jump on you there, but I kind of want to go back to what you were saying before, just about like leadership and, he's going to Miami, but like, do you think that grit, like, do you think any of Kyle's going to get passed on to the team, or do you think it's like, this is a clean separation? Next year is not, Kyle's not here and the team won't be like him. You know what I mean?
No, I think the Raptors team's gonna be real different without him. I mean, of course, like Fred's learned a lot from Kyle, but Fred's his own person too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think like, everything I heard or read about the Scotty Barnes pick was that he's a culture guy, right? Like I think they're looking at Scotty Barnes to like be a cultural influencer. That sounds so social media of me, but really like a cultural influence in the locker room. Like I think that was also part of why they picked him, because they think he's gonna have like a big personality and will kind of help this post. It feels weird to say, but a post Kyle era. It's weird. It
does feel weird to say.
Yeah, it still feels weird to say, but that's what it is. And so, yeah, I think it'll be all very different.
Were there any points like where I feel like, close to the end of the Kyle Lowry era, different people had different ideas of kind of like how they wanted it to end? Were you like, not talking about the ending so much, like mid era, early era, were you like an early Kyle supporter? Or were you kind of like, did he have to win you over?
No, I was definitely an early Kyle supporter, and an early Kyle and DeMar supporter. I mean, I was one of those people, like DeMar really won me over when he, infamously tweeted that, like, "Don't worry, I got us" thing after Chris Bosh left, right? And at that point too, like we weren't, quote unquote used to winning. And so it was always so positive. Like every step we took, every whatever we took was really positive until just like those last couple of years against Cleveland, and, but I was always rooting for them because it's like, nobody ever expected them to beat LeBron. You know, it wasn't like they never failed expectations in my mind. Well, that's not totally true, but you know what I mean? Like those the Cavaliers were clearly
I know what you mean.
a better
Yeah.
team. You know, like I think sometimes like getting swept was obviously disappointing, and getting swept against the Wizards was disappointing, but like generally speaking, like we were consistently underdogs, and you know, it was nice to see them. It was nice to see them go for it. Right? Like it was just, and I think like going through that process and then winning a championship and having the run it back season, which up until the pandemic was my favorite season. Probably. It was just so much fun. I mean, you talk about like the rise of Siakam, the comeback game against Dallas, just like really, really good times. And you know, I'll always associate him with winning, with changing the culture here and being a big part of that. But I think this experience has also changed me as a fan. And I don't really want to, you know, I mean, I trust Masai in a rebuilding process because he has done it before. And I do believe he'll do it again. But it's like, you know, I'm not going to go back to those days where I consistently rooted for a losing team.
Sorry, no,
I'll start again.
We've made it to our, sorry.
Oh, that's your timer?
That was my timer, but I want to hear your thought.
Yeah, I'll just say that, like, I'm not going to go back to rooting for a losing team, you know, 10 years plus. Like, I almost feel like that's just, like, not even who I am anymore. And I don't think that's who the Raptors are anymore, which is significant. Right? Like, it's very, very significant. So I'll always be grateful for him and his time here. He'll definitely be emotional when he comes back, right? And plays in Toronto against the Heat. Like, that's going to be a waterworks. But yeah, you know, ultimately I am happy for Kyle.
Yeah, I love I'm going to ask you one more thing, because I love, you know, your point of, you know, him raising the bar for us. And I feel like that is like, just said so well. And I'm almost emotional immediately thinking about his return, just because I feel like we both enjoy this kind of stuff. What image do you have in his return? Like, so let's just leave everyone with that. Like, what are you picturing?
It's got to be better than the Kawhi return. Because the
Kawhi
return was pretty sick. I want a whole light show, not just a video. Show on the court. I want to see the steps that he took before he took a charge.
Me too.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's going to be weird because he's going to make multiple returns to Toronto. But yeah, I'm sure it'll be big. I'm sure it'll be emotional. I don't think they're going to give him a mic or anything. That'll be interesting. It'll be weird. It'll be weird, actually, but it'll still be, you know, it'll still be nice.
It'll be weird.
I don't know what to expect.
Me either. I was actually just like picturing.
I hope they make him cry.
Oh, we're gonna make him cry. We're gonna be there. First of all,
we have to make Kyle cry. Yeah, we should be there. I mean, those tickets are gonna be hard to get.
Listen, we're gonna make our way in there. I mean, you're gonna have those things like I've done it on an acting set before, where you blow mint air towards someone's eyes to make them cry.
Ooh.
So me and you will figure it out.
Okay, noted.
Yeah, I got plans.
I'll save some mint from my mom's garden.
Please start saving the mint now. Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for this segment. But Catherine, you're the best, and thank you so much.
You're the best. Thanks so much.
6 of 7 from the foul line. 2-possession game. 114-110. Curry lets it fly. Canada, the NBA title is yours. The Toronto Raptors are the 2019 NBA champions. It happened. It's real.
Bruce Arthur from the Toronto Star. you've been in this organization for a long time. This has been your goal for a long time. But your whole basketball career, you felt undervalued. You felt like you never found a home until here. And even in your Toronto career, there have been ups and downs. Can you put into words what this means for you, for Kyle Lowry, after everything you've been through kind of your whole life?
Words can't explain how I feel. It's been a long, long time, 13 years of NBA basketball, a couple years of college, a couple years of, high school basketball. And to be able to say I'm a world champion, it makes me feel great. And to do it with the group of guys that we did it with is amazing. It's just, it's kind of still surreal. It hasn't hit me yet. And, I'm still kind of in this moment of just like, is this real yet? And for me, just at the end of the day, I work extremely hard on my game. I work extremely hard on myself, and I am extremely hard on myself. And I'm happy to be able to say I'm a champion, and it's been a long time coming.
Katie HEINDL.
All right. I'm here with one of my very favorite guests. She's incredible, and I'm not doing the full intro like I usually do, but check her out on everything and follow her on everything. Basketball Feelings, I'm sure, is coming out shortly, and Vacation Watch. I don't want to do any spoilers or set you up for things that I don't know. I don't know what all you have on your plate. What's up, Katie? How are you? Katie HEINDL, ladies and gentlemen.
I have a steak on my plate. You know that. I showed you.
Yeah, a little bit of how the sausage is made. Katie does have a uncooked steak on her plate that she's gonna cook soon. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me, and always a pleasure. Of course.
Pleasure's all mine, and I think steak talk aside, how are you doing with Kyle's exit? Yeah, I'll just start there.
Yeah, I have to be honest. I think I prepared mentally and emotionally for the reality of his leaving more around the trade deadline.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that with free agency, I had a hope that he would stay. But the more that we heard about Miami and some other teams, and the more I thought about it, I am a Miami fan, this. So I think when it seemed like that's where he could go to play like one of his best friends, and Bam, like such a sweetheart, I was like, okay, I don't mind that. The guy can golf all year round. His family can be there. I think I made peace with it a lot faster than I thought. I thought I would be crushed. I think it will be a lot different when we actually are without him. You know what I mean? Like first game actually back is going to be its own. Maybe then it will hit me more. But right now I mostly feel like bittersweet, super appreciative. I think like he did the full arc. Like you can't ask for anything more, No. He did what he set out to do. What he didn't even know he wanted to set out to do when he got here. And like he promised and he delivered. And I think for him to now just kind of go off and be free, it's like, I feel like it's like true love, You gotta let it go sometimes.
Definitely. I mean, I'm feeling a lot of that. I'm hearing a lot of that. As far as, people were prepared for Kyle to leave. There's not a lot of like wanting for things here. We got our one championship with him, and he helped seal the clinching game and had like a powerful hug with our GM. Like the arc is so rich, honestly. I want to go back to what you said about like feeling it when he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm not exactly sure what we're all going to feel, but like, do you have any thoughts about what of Kyle will remain? You know what I mean? Like when the season starts, or like where are you thinking you might feel him or feel the loss of him?
I think we'll feel the loss of him a lot on the floor. I think his organization will be missed because it's just like when he was on the floor, things were in their right place all the time. But they were like that for a reason, because he was there. You even saw that when he would come off the floor and like take a little bit of a rest, or when he was hurt, the latter half of the season. I think we'll miss that deeply. I guess I was a little bit more worried about that before, we saw some of the personnel who are coming back this season. And I think, they've got some roster holes to sort of fill out.
Yeah.
But I think you and I talked about this before, like in terms of what he's left, like he's left his DNA and his fingerprints all over the team, in the way Freddie plays, in a lot of OG's development. Pascal too, like they have learned intrinsically how to play basketball, Raptors basketball, under Kyle Lowry within that system. And I still think that they never would have really had a chance to step out and prove it. And now this will be, their shot. Like this will be their first kind of step in the spotlight, I think, without Lowry, but they never would have been able to get there as long as Lowry stayed, because it always would have been his team. So in a weird way, like he kind of gave them and us the gift of,
I know,
the next like iteration of the Raptors, like he saw, whether you want to call it the We the North era, great marketing tactic, but like whatever you want to call the previous era, it comes full circle now. And like, he's given us this new team that's just like now going to sort of step out onto the stage, and we can actually see what they are. And they're not really going to look, it will be uncomfortable at first, because it will be like, whoa, this doesn't feel right. It's going to be awkward. I think it'll be kind of ugly and messy at first, but they got to hit their stride. And I guess Lowry gave them the gift to do that. Like he set his guys free.
Yeah. Well, and I think he definitely empowered a lot of people to play better and to kind of like, he made a lot of people money.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see there being like I guess this isn't so much about Kyle, but I feel like we're kind of talking in the margins here. Like, do you see there being like a leadership vacuum, or, for instance, like Fred and Siakam kind of colliding in some way?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you think part of what he left is like a collective will to win together?
I think it will be Fred. I think Pascal has never necessarily been comfortable being that guy. I don't think he wants to be that guy. I think he actually plays better when he's not that guy.
Yeah.
So, but now he might get to figure out like, what other kind of guy is he? What other kind of skills does he have that aren't necessarily, he had to play a certain way. Not to say like Lowry was ever domineering with them. I think they wanted to play the way that he did. But I think Fred is sort of who the torch was going to. That was always my sense of it. And I think that was Lowry's sense of it. Like he calls him his little brother, right? Like his mini me. I think it will be Fred. And I think he's ready for it. I think honestly, the way that the team played through the Tampa season and like how tough that was, he's coming out of probably one of the most challenging seasons of his career. Fred is. And I think he's ready for it. But that's the whole thing when you have like a soft rebuild like this, right? Or a retooling, I guess we should call it. New leaders will emerge, and new relationships and dynamics are going to emerge. And I think that like, I'm pretty excited to see that. That's almost like what I guess I'm most hopeful for. And if Dragic stays, I'm curious to see how he decides to lead, if he does. But I don't think he will right away. I think he'll probably recognize like he can't just come in and inherit something that Lowry spent 9 seasons building.
Yeah, I think the Dragic point's really interesting because, if this all shakes out where we do decide to hold on to him, he's beloved in Miami. He is a leader. And yeah, I think, I'd hope, and I think with Dragic, he's played for a lot of teams. I think he would come in and read the room and, hopefully empower Fred or Malachi or whatever. But I kind of want to just pivot a bit to like memories, because I'm asking everyone about Kyle memories. So if you have a specific one, awesome. If it's like a general feel, that's cool too.
It's hard. There's a lot. And I don't mean that as a cop out. Like I think maybe
truly is, yeah.
Yeah. I think maybe that's like kind of the gift of Lowry, is that he gave us an era, and there hasn't been a Toronto player that's ever been able to do that, right? Like usually it's either felt abrupt and that they're traded away before what feels like their time, or it's abrupt because they leave and abandon the team.
Yeah.
A couple guys have done that. Favorite Lowry moment. You know, like I always go back to this, but I think that in that net series when he missed the shot, when Paul Pierce blocked it, and he fell down on the floor and he was like kind of covering his face and you knew he was going through it. And DeMar went over to him and like kind of like propped himself up over him and was almost like shielding him from the moment. And I think he was telling him, I think DeMar said later, like he was telling him something like, we'll come back. Like we'll be here again. Like you got to get up. I don't know. I loved that moment. As like wrenching and heartbreaking as that moment was, I think it was a real beautiful encapsulation of like something starting, like not just a friendship, but like where that road would eventually lead and like Larry's full, beautiful deliverance.
I think that's such a perfect moment and perfect moment for you too, to like kind of course you're going to see like the nugget of the origin story of the feeling. And I mean, I still like, reading some of Kyle's stuff, I still really, I enjoyed the Casey Lowry relationship, which was kind of imperfect, but it was feisty and competitive. And it seemed like it was a big part of who Kyle was. We've kind of run out of time, but I want to ask you one more question about Kyle. And sorry, I'm just shutting off my annoying timer. Like what I want to ask is, do you think that, you know what, this seems like an unanswerable question, but I think you maybe, if anybody could answer it.
God, no pressure.
Do you envision, like, if you think about the arc of us getting better, hopefully with Kyle, do you envision enjoying or appreciating another Raptor as much as Kyle? Or is that just something that's hard to like foresee?
That's not tough for me because I can actually say personally, no, I don't think so. I think like the pure love that I had for Lowry and like that era of Raptors basketball and like all these instances of almost making it and like falling out, coming back, clawing their way back, this like scrappy, dogged team, really annoying team. And then how it just got smoother and smoother and more streamlined throughout the seasons until, that championship iteration. And like the growth Lowry had through that, this is going to sound super corny, but I do feel like it also paralleled a lot of things I was going through in my life at the time. Totally. And I think like stuff like that kind of tethers you to a player and an era and at a certain time, and you're not going to feel maybe as deeply. I mean, it's hard to say. You never know who could come along. Yeah. I'm super like probably my next closest is OG, just because I think he's been trying to get where he's at for so many seasons and he's just never had the runway. And now I think like, we're starting to see it. So I'm very excited and hopeful for him. But no, Larry was my guy. So yeah, I think like with him, I feel a certain distance from the team now. It's not a bad thing. I think it's just like, taking a step back. Like I'm not as ferociously in on the Raptors as I was with Lowry, but I think that's okay.
I think it's okay too. And I mean, maybe that's a part of like a legacy player. Like we never had, people have on the, like before you on this pod, a lot of people were touching on the, the exits and how Kyle's exit was unique and there was like a respect there. And I think everything about this Kyle Lowry era was like distinctly human, it seemed, and flawed and amazing. And I don't know. We're all going to miss Kyle. I feel I don't want to work myself into tears, or maybe I do, but
now I feel upset after I was just like, I'm fine. But I know. I think it's just like, it's so rare to have an experience as a fan.
Yes.
And go through that full cycle with a player, you want to call it, whatever you'd call it, like that's such a rare thing. So I think it's like such a special thing. And I think that's totally okay if like some people don't feel that way again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's okay that, we were a part of this special era and Kyle had a special imprint on us and we don't have to, immediately transfer those feelings if they don't feel genuine to like another player. Katie, this is we made it to the end of the segment. This will be the end of the pod and the end of the Kyle Lowry era. But new era coming, and we'll start investigating and enjoying. And you're the best, and thank you so much.
Tony and Kevin back with you. The first ever NBA free agency. We've got some breaking news coming in. Kyle Lowry in a sign and trade will be going to the Miami Heat. Adrian Wojnarowski announcing, reporting that it's a 3-year deal for the former Raptors star. And Lowry went to Twitter in the last 3 minutes, tweeted out Miami Heat times Kyle Lowry. Let's go.
How are you going to remember your time in Toronto?
I don't know, Doug. I'm not, honestly, I'm just being honest. I'm not looking forward to that first game coming back because I know I'm going to get tribute and I know I'm going to cry. So I'm not looking forward to it. But how I remember my time there is that it was home, and it really will always be home. The fans, the friends I made, the people I met throughout my time, the relationships I've built, the communities that I helped, and the people that I helped in the communities. It's hard to kind of put that into perspective of one, kind of sentence or paragraph. It's a culmination of just a lot of things. And when I retire, I'll kind of go back and really think about everything that I've done for that place. And it's too much to put into words.
He is your 5-time NBA All-Star from North Philly to your city. We're number 7, Kyle Lowry.
This podcast has been brought to you by the Sonar Network.